For centuries, Kashmir was home to Muslims and Hindus alike. Despite religious differences, historic discrimination, and episodes of violence, members of both faiths shared a common land, language, and culture there. This common identity, known as Kashmiriyat, united Kashmir's residents with a sense of community and loyalty. In 1989, this unity was shattered with the outbreak of an insurgency that rages to this day. A wave of monstrous killings and brutal repression created the conditions for a massive exodus of nearly all of Kashmir's Hindus.
कवर करो पॉइंट
Last year, Kashmir had a population of 140,000 Hindus. In the last 6 months, more than 1 lakh Hindus have fled their homes, many with just their clothes on their backs. Several pockets of Hindu population like Habba Kadal, Renawari and Karan Nagar have become ghost towns. There were numerous pressures that forced these Hindus to leave. Children had no schools to go to. Colleges were closed. Weeks of curfew had converted homes into prisons, often without electricity, water and food. But most of all, it was the tension of being a minority in an increasingly fanatical atmosphere, where the very air they breathed was laden with violence and fear. They have left secure jobs, sometimes of 20 years, established businesses running for generations, and even properties and orchards to a blank, uncertain future with marginal help from the government. Why, they ask, should we be refugees in our own country?
हम डर गए उन लोगों से फिर हमने सब सामान उठाकर यहाँ आए हैं.
Suddenly, her mother, who was sitting next to her, began to weep.
दुखी इसलिए है कि इसकी 3 बेटियां हैं, बड़ी बेटियां हैं. मैं भी इसकी एक बेटी हूँ. ये इसलिए रोती है. हम क्या करेंगे?
Benazir Bhutto, as you know, has been training her guns against me personally. She had been shouting from the housetops and get out Jagmohan, somehow or the other. This was precisely because the game plan which she had worked out, it fizzled. And these forces understood that I was the main stumbling block in their plan.
Acutely aware of India's overwhelming military superiority over Pakistan, Bhutto has missed no opportunity to add fuel to the fire.
अगर वियतनाम के अंदर एक छोटा सा मुल्क बड़े सुपर पावर के साथ मुकाबला कर सकता था, और अगर चाइना के अंदर लॉन्ग मार्च के बाद चाइना के अवाम आजादी हासिल कर सकते थे, अगर अफगानिस्तान के अंदर अफगानिस्तान के अवाम एक सुपर पावर का मुकाबला कर सकते हैं, तो आप कोई सुपर वुपर पावर नहीं है कि कश्मीर के अवाम के साथ मुकाबला करके अपना हक लाने.
Storm of violence that consumed Kashmir in 1990 between Kashmiri Muslims and Indian security translated into more attacks on regular Hindus too. Ethnic and religious tribalism soared. Pundits were held responsible for the actions of the Indian security forces, while Muslims were treated as inseparable from the militants. Any remaining social harmony or trust in the valley collapsed, as each group attributed the worst to each other. Violence went from being an unfortunate extreme to something celebrated. On February 27th, Naveen Sapru was gunned down by the side of the road by militants. His killers and local Muslims then danced around his body and cheered, seeing it as a strike against India. The case of Balkrishan Ganju similarly showed the collapse in Hindu-Muslim relations. On March 19th, militants appeared at his home, where he tried to hide from them in a barrel. However, his Muslim neighbors, angry at the Indian government, or perhaps fearful of the militants, ratted him out to the attackers. The militants gouged out his eyes and killed him in front of his wife and daughter. One of the most harrowing stories was that of the renowned poet and scholar Sarwanand Kaul Premi and his son Verinder. Premi was a respected scholar who had translated the Gita into Kashmiri and had been a teacher in his community. He taught local children, Muslim and Hindu alike, to speak and write in their shared language. That meant nothing on April 28th, when a group of militants entered his home. They stripped his family of any valuables they had and ordered Premi to load them into a suitcase and come with them. Verinder insisted on staying by his father's side and went with him and the militants. Several days later, father and son were found beaten, burned, and blinded.
कश्मीर में आज की डेट में भी गड़बड़ है और आने वाला समय कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए क्या लेके आएगा हमें नहीं पता, वो 90 से भी वर्स्ट होगा।